Today, I'll be showing you how to get multiple input setups into your interface, into an encoder, and then up online to just about any streaming platform. Hi, this is Dave from Skinny Mammoth Media, and this is part 2 in a series of videos we're making about using the Focusrite Scarlett interfaces for live streaming. The idea of today's video is to get multiple inputs from synthesizers, drum machines, have a little synth jam, then get a couple of DSLRs, take some footage and get this all put together live online. So let's dive in. First of all, list of things needed. Number 1, you're going to need a computer, obviously. Mac or PC, it really doesn't matter. The process will be the same either way. Number 2, an interface. Today we're going to be using a Focusrite Scarlett 18i20. It's got loads of inputs to plug all your goodies into, and more about that later. Number 3, a couple of cameras. Now you can use webcams if you want to, but I'll be using some DSLRs that have HDMI outputs. Number 4, a HDMI to Thunderbolt or USB converter. One of these things here, you're going to need one for each camera, and this is an Ultra Studio mini recorder made by a company called Blackmagic. But also the Elgato Camlink is a good choice, but there's quite a few on the market, so it may be worth a little Google to find a good deal. Number 5, you'll need to download an encoder for this. We'll be using a free app called OBS, and what it'll do is it'll pull all these elements together, the audio and the video, and it'll get it up online. Number 6, an account with any of the many social media platforms you can go live to, Facebook, YouTube, the list goes on, but today we're going to be using YouTube. Okay, let's get started by setting up our Focusrite Scarlett 18i20. Now I'll walk you through this, but if you run into any problems at all, there's some really good getting started tutorials on Focusrite.com, but it's really straightforward though. Okay, first of all, we'll go to the Focusrite homepage, go to Support, Downloads. In here we pick the driver for our particular interface, in our case the 18i20 3rd Gen. Next, pick our operating system, in this case it's Mac OS, and download. And just follow the installation instructions. Now we need to go to the OBS site to download our free encoder. Again, just follow the on-screen instructions for install. We're almost ready to plug things in and make some noise. Take the USB cable that came with the unit and plug it in. Also plug in the power cable that came with the unit. Plug your studio monitors into outputs 1 and 2 on the back. Or plug some headphones into one of the 2 headphone amps on the front. Turn the main volume down just in case, and then just fire it up. Load up the Focusrite control software and you're in. First of all, you'll be greeted by this page. I'm going to make some more inputs on the mixer by clicking this plus sign. Now, I'm using line level instruments, so I'm wanting group pairs in stereo, so I'm going to max these out. Now the great thing about this, it also has an ADAT input on the back, so you can expand this by another 8 inputs if you wish. I'm just going to patch some instruments into the Scarlett and get some levels. As a musician, I'm sure you've done this a million times, but if you're unsure of anything, there's an online manual to help you. I've purposely not patched anything into inputs 1 and 2. I'm going to take 2 spare jack leads and put one end into the line outs 3 and 4, and the other end into inputs 1 and 2. Let me try and explain why I'm having to do this. At the time of making this video, OBS has a limitation in that it can only see the first 2 inputs of your audio device. So you have to route a couple of the line outs on the back into the first 2 inputs of your device. This is effectively turning it into a hardware mixer, which leaves us with 6 inputs for our live stream. But let's not forget about those ADAT inputs on the back that will give us an extra 8 if you wish. Let's quickly jump back into the control software and have a look how I've set this up. I've set up 2 custom mixers, one for my studio monitors and one for outputs 3 and 4. They both need to be set the same so that what I'm hearing through my speakers is what is being sent to OBS as well. One quite important thing is just to remember to mute inputs 1 and 2 on both mixes, or you'll get a phasey loopback type sound. Not good. Okay, let's jump into OBS. I'm just going to say this is just one way of doing it. There are obviously many ways, but I'm just trying to keep it as simple as possible just to get you started. Okay, first of all, we're going to open OBS. We're going to head over to the scenes. We're going to make a new scene, and we're going to call this angle 1. Okay, the first thing we need to do is go into Sources and select Audio Input Capture. We're going to create a new device. We're going to call this Scarlett 18i20. Okay, then we're going to select the Scarlett 18i20 USB device. And there you can see there's the VU meters going up there with the drum machine I have plugged into it. Next, we're going to select a video capture device. And we're going to create a new one and we're going to call this Cam 1. Okay. Now we're going to select the first Blackmagic mini recorder. And there you go, you can see my drum machine turn up. We're going to turn that to 1920 by 1080 25 frames because that's the frame rate of the camera. And there you have it. First camera angle. I'm just going to make that to the size of the frame. Excellent. Now we're going to make another scene. Call this angle 2. And we're going to select an audio capture input device again. And we made the setup earlier. We're going to select the Scarlett 18i20. And we need to select another video capture device. So we're going to make a new one. We're going to call this Cam 2. And we're going to select the second Blackmagic capture device, the one we talked about earlier. And there you have it. Yay! I'm going to change that to a 1920 by 1080, 25 frames. And there you go. We're going to make it the same size as the frame there. And we have our two different camera angles. And we can flick between them both. I'll reframe these shots later, but this is just for the test. Now a little cool feature is to set hotkeys up for this. This is in Settings. That's down in the far right hand corner. Then in the list, select the hotkeys and you'll see these regions with the angles 1 and 2 we made earlier. And in the switch to scene, just hit the key you want to use. I'm using 1 and 2, but you can use whatever you like. Something you may come across when doing this is syncing issues. Now this can happen mostly with HDMI devices where there's a slight delay between the audio and the video, not so much with USB webcams. Luckily there's a feature in OBS that can remedy this. Click on the cog in the audio section labelled Scarlett, Advanced Audio Properties, and here you'll see a sync offset. This is where you can dial in your desired offset in milliseconds. Now this can vary due to the different components in your system. For me, it's usually a number between 100 and 300. I'm going to ever so briefly touch on a feature in OBS called Studio Mode. Now this is like a traditional TV switcher with a preview window and a live window. We won't be using that today in this tutorial, but there are many tutorials online about this, so feel free to go and have a look at those. I'm going to touch really quickly on a service called Restream.io, and that will allow you to take the output of OBS and stream it to multiple platforms at the same time. It's well worth a look. Now the next thing we need to do is to go into our YouTube account and activate that for live streaming. Go to your YouTube account, click on your icon, then go to your YouTube studio, click the Go Live icon. You need to create a title. I'm going to call this Synth Jam. Select the privacy setting for your live stream. I'll leave these settings up to you. Then click the Create Stream when you're happy with the settings. Then you need to locate your stream key so that OBS and YouTube work together. Click Copy, then go back to OBS. Go into the settings in the right hand corner. Select Stream in this left hand menu. Then paste the stream key in the stream key region. If it's not already, you need to select YouTube as a service. Also, server needs to be primary YouTube ingest server. Okay, when you're ready to go, click Start Streaming. That's going to send our audio and camera output from OBS to YouTube. So go back to YouTube and it says you're ready to go live. In the preview window, we see our OBS output. You can also find your stream URL here to share with your friends. Then we can click here to go live. I'm going to maximize the screen just so you can see my performance. And here we go. Thanks for joining me today, guys, and I really hope this helps you get your music up online to your audience. Like I said, this is just one of many ways of doing this, and I really encourage you to experiment and find the best way for your workflow. But that's all for now. Cheers, guys.